So this guy, he was one of the very rich guys around. When I say around, I mean in the world, not in Eswatini. So he had a lot of money, but he was also a miser. So he didn't spend his money as much as perhaps you and I would. So he got sick, and in his deathbed, he said to his wife, "I want you to bury me with all my money when I'm gone." So she said, "Okay." But during the memorial, the wife was sitting with her best friend, and then she stands up. She goes to the coffin. They open the coffin for people to have a look. And so she was like, as the last person, she went and put a small box in there. So the friend says to, "Well, did you really do that? Did you put the money in there like he said?" She said, yes, I keep my promises, So what I did was that I deposited all the money into my account, then I wrote him a check. If he can cash it, then, you must know women are very clever. Also, live a little. Don't be such a miser that you feel like you want to go into the grave with your money. Good evening. Well, as I've been introduced, I'm Thobile Dlamini, and I've been doing this for quite a while now, just not here. Normally, what I would do is a full personal finance management course, which takes about a day and sometimes 2 days. But today we're just taking a module out of there, which is the budgeting. I do wish that I had a lot of time to actually move on to the other areas as well, but we'll be here for today. Well, that's my beautiful face there. If you can go to the next slide. There was this nun, she was transferred from, what do they call these places that they stay in? A what? Yes. She was being transferred from one convent to the other. So when she got there, she finds other nuns there. But a few days she gets to understand or to hear or to overhear that they were gossiping about her, because even in church we gossip, right? So they're talking about her that, isn't she pregnant? Because, I am not pregnant, just in case, But they were gossiping about her that, isn't she pregnant? So she was so hurt, but obviously she thought, let me do something about this. So she started by walking on a daily basis, just a few Ks, and those few Ks became many Ks, and then she started running. And then she ended up joining these Iron people, triathlons and all that. She's the oldest person in this now, as you can see. From there to where she is today, I think she's 93, 94 today, but she still does this. Where I'm going with this is that it is not something, budgeting is not something that you expected, that you catch it today and you're an expert. Step by step, right? I follow this guy, Dave Ramsey. Follow him as well if you get time. I like this quote that he has, that not until the pain of the same is greater than the pain of change will you embrace change. She felt hurt that, she was pregnant, but she decided to change. I hope that You are here today because you want to, properly steward the money that has been given to you, that has been entrusted to you by God. Most of the time we forget that we are stewards. We think that money is ours. But today I'm hoping that we are going to learn to be good stewards. All right. There is another quote that I like from Dave Ramsey. Says, you will either learn to manage your money or the lack of it will manage you. I find that so profound because the lack manages us in different ways. Some people at work, they will steal. Others will do whatever it takes just to have a little bit more money than they have. But what I've found is that money is never enough. I was doing some research on these basketball players and football players in the US. I didn't go to the US. I was doing research on the internet. And I found that most of them, when their careers end, they end up being broke. They declare bankruptcy, and it just ends there. When you think about how much these people are earning when they are still playing, you think that money will never run out because it's quite a lot of money. But money runs out no matter how much it is. So it's very important that we learn how to do everything to ensure that we are good stewards of that money. So now, right now, I want you to talk to yourself. Tell yourself, you remember that audio on WhatsApp, the guy will say something, then say, tell yourself. So this is your moment. If you've made mistakes in the past about money, do yourself a favor today. Don't get hung up on what you've done wrong. Don't get hung up on, I should have. If only I learned about this long back. We all wish that, but you can't turn back the time. We can only correct it from today going forward, isn't it? Because if you get hung up in the past, then you will not move forward. You'll keep on feeling sorry for yourself. I do love to do this for the young ones who are just either in college or just starting out at university, because I feel like it's an opportunity for them. And it is something that I feel if I had learned it at the time, I would probably be further than I am right now. But let's not dwell in the past. Today, we move forward, right? Okay. Before I get into the budgeting, what time did I start? I love to talk when I'm in front of people, so I might, okay. Before I get into budgeting, I want to talk about belief, and not religion, but the belief system that we all have in our consciousness. There are two types of beliefs. We have limiting beliefs and empowering beliefs. The limiting beliefs are those ones that stop you from doing something, that stop you from achieving something. I have a limiting belief. Each time that I have to travel, I try to convince myself why I shouldn't travel. I don't like traveling. I don't like flying. I don't like driving. I just wish I could teleport because I like the destination, but not the journey usually. Even when I'm going on holiday, I'm only excited when I get where I'm going. So I would convince myself, what if the car breaks down? What if you get hijacked? What if, But after some time, I got to learn that these limiting beliefs, they stop you from getting to where you want to go. You will end up doing nothing. Budgeting, most of the time, we look at it as something that is done by the numbers people. I'm not an accountant. I'm not, other people say I'm not a mathematician. But you handle money. Isn't money a number? So you need to talk to yourself about these limiting beliefs. Identify, be aware. As and when it happens, be aware, this is a limiting belief. It is stopping me from doing what I want to do. then empowering beliefs are the ones that, I can do it. The ones that you encourage yourself with. So whenever you identify that now you are allowing a limiting belief or into your head, say the opposite, exactly the opposite of that limiting belief, and change it into an empowering belief. It's amazing how you can play around with the subconsciousness of your mind. You think it's silly when you do it, but ultimately it gets in there and it helps you to achieve your goals. So as we are doing the budgeting is not for the numbers people, it's for every one of us. So long as you handle money, you need to budget. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, I once attended, before I started teaching people, I also attended money management courses. And one thing I learned somewhere is that in terms of payment order, when you do your budget, this is the way that it should go. You pay God first, then you pay yourself, and then you pay others. The one that a lot of people, at least I had been confused about it, is in terms of paying God and paying yourself. When you pay God, you pay Him in different ways. It is offering, it is in tithes, and it is in taking care of others, charity. Because you are listening or obeying God when He says you should take care of each other, isn't it? So that is part of that. And it's amazing that we don't think about budgeting for offerings. We think about offerings when we are sitting there at church. It's time for offering. Then you're like, oh, how much do I have in my pocket? But we need to learn to even budget for that. Because then you won't always be taking out the 5 cents out of your pocket, unless that's the last money you've got, of course. And then paying yourself. Often, I'm one of those people, I've repented. I was one of those people that when I would really, really get upset, especially at work, I would get out. We used to have an office in Mbabane, and I would go to Kubanora for their marble cake. And I would sit there and help myself. I would say I'm paying myself because, I'm eating the cake, and aren't I? But was I really paying myself? I was paying Kubanora, not myself. Because when you pay yourself, that's when you send your money out to work for you. It's going to go and work and bring me more money. That is paying yourself. But if I'm eating that cake, or even other people talk about retail therapy, that is not paying yourself. You are paying whatever retail that you are paying. So when I say pay yourself here, I'm talking about savings and investments, okay? The ones that will bring a return for you. All right. And then you pay others, everyone else. So that's the bills, that's the buying the cakes and and all that. So that's the way that you should arrange your budget. And that is the way that I have arranged today's budgeting session as well. There are 3 types of budgets that I'm going to talk about right now. I'm not going to dwell much into the first 2, but I want us to talk about the third one, because this is the one that is very important, I think, budgeting for every cent. Because if you budget for every cent, it's unlikely that you'll find that the month has some added days to it. Some of us have 30-day months, some have 40, because the month somehow moves away from you before payday comes. It is an amazing feeling for those of us who work, who are employed and get a salary. Just that, it is an amazing feeling to actually have when you get your in contact. You are surprised or shocked because you still have money. You haven't finished all your money. So it's a good feeling, trust me. Trust me on that one. Yeah. It's like being debt free. That's an amazing feeling. I once was debt free. Um, the culture, I stayed in Mozambique for 5 years, and the culture that I found there, at least with the people that I was working, was that when you want something, you save for it and then you buy cash. You do not go to the bank to get whatever. But I think now they're also getting, the corruption of debt. But yeah, I was debt free then. It was amazing. Then I returned here. The very first year I came back here, the people in the office were telling me, you need an Edgar's card, credit card, because you've got kids, that thing will help you. And I got convinced, but later on I saw the light once again. But let's not get into that much. Okay. 50, 30, 20 budget. That one is a simple budget. I think it is for people who have already mastered the every cent budget, because that is the one that will take you to this simplistic view. So the 50% of your take home, your salary, is going into the needs. The ones take 30%, and then savings and investments take 20%. I mean, if you just do that, if you it's too much for you, the every cent thing, then you can't do that. It's simplistic, isn't it? It's not difficult. The only challenge that comes here is now identifying what are needs and what are wants. When I go to the shops to buy clothes, or I'm just passing by and I find there's a sale in the particular shop, and then I go and buy, and I'm like, I need shoes. Do I really need shoes? Or it's just that I saw them there and they were on sale. So now I'm going to start claiming it's a need. It is not a need. At that time, it is a want. When you need something, you have to really, talk to yourself and check inside you that you actually need that. All right. And then the next budget is the 80-20. That's another one that, is simplistic, but it's a little bit difficult in terms of the 80% in putting everything in there. I just feel like it's another every cent budget, except that you just take 20% into the savings and investments and then move forward. So I'm not going to talk to this budget much. I'm going to talk to the one that is budget for every cent, like literally every cent. I have a small booklet like this where I make sure that I note the cents that I spend. I mean, sometimes I think to myself, am I being silly by doing this? But I found that it actually helps me to be able to trace what I've done with the money. It happens that sometimes you will withdraw money, maybe 1,000 malangeni from the ATM, put it in your pocket, and then you spend $200 on, let's say you're paying for a cab, a taxi. You spend that $200 there, and then the 800 chows itself. Has it happened to you like that? Yeah, and for the life of you, you can't, no matter how much you sit and think, you can't identify what you've done with that money. So having that small booklet to note however much you spend, it will help you to be able to see where your money is going. There are no devils in your pocket. Because that's what you start saying, right? Bangloil. Yeah. So, for instance, I like to spend, I liked this maize meal, the roasted one. So I would buy it so many times. And then I wouldn't know what I've done with the money, because, you spend $10 here, $10 there for that thing. And before you know it, I once did a calculation to check. I buy 3 maize cobs in a day because I got 2 kids, and I buy for each one of us. I calculated and I found that in a year, I spent 7,200 malangeni on just that. It was an eye-opener. Each time I want to take out money and buy, I think about it. This is going towards the 7,200 now. So I start changing my behaviors, because you will not be able to identify that behavior unless you keep track, right? That you need to make adjustments in your life unless you keep track. So that is the way that I used to do it. Why do we budget? Someone once said to me, we budget because, it's like when you're budgeting, you're sending your money out. You're telling your money, go and do this, go and do that. It just doesn't go on its own, because, it's like your children or your employees maybe. You have to give them the work, the job. Go and do this job. Otherwise, if you let a teenager do what they want, what's going to happen? They'll disappear and you won't know. They'll mess up. So your money does exactly that. When you don't give it a job, it disappears from your pocket. And then you come back to the demon spending. So it also, when you budget, you're able to see what you can afford. More often than not, we're envious of our neighbors, and in economics, we used to call it keeping up with the Joneses. You want what your neighbor has, but you don't know where they got that money. You just want that. And you find yourself deep in debt, and maybe doing some other things which cannot be done in the light, just because you want to keep up with the Joneses. So when you are budgeting, you're allocating the scarce resources, because they are limited. So you want to give them a specific job. And then you also want to bring your reality to the fore. I know that some people, when they actually start doing the budgeting, they find themselves in a negative. It is okay. At least now you're aware this is where you are. You can start making your way out of that hole that you have dug for yourself. Okay. And to prevent overspending, as I said, track your spending, no matter how much it is. You take out 10 Himalayan, 5 Himalayan from your pocket, write it down. And then you'll be able to identify what it is that actually wastes a lot of your money. Someone in my office, when we were doing this, the workshop, she calculated and found that she buys chocolates, just chocolates. But that's where most of her money goes, because obviously you never notice when you spend small amounts. Components of a budget, they include income, right? Savings or investments. When I talk of savings here, I'm not talking about the savings account in the bank. You know, that savings account that doesn't give you any interest? That's not real savings, isn't it? It's just the name that has been given to that account. When I'm talking of savings, I'm talking about an account or an investment that will give you real returns, okay? So let's clear that now, just in case we are thinking of that. And then charity and gifts, expenses and obligations. That is, those are the components of a budget. When we come to income, what is the income made up of? I am sorry, I have to rush because I don't have much time, so I'll be rushing through, but hopefully you will grasp what I'm talking about. Income includes salary or wages. It includes interest, if you've got investments, that's your income, dividends, alimony, other income, maintenance that you receive, any amount that you receive. In some months, maybe you'll have a windfall. Maybe someone will give you a gift of money or anything. That is your part of your income. If you want to be straight, in your budgeting, you will put that money in there and send it to work. Okay. And then I think the next thing that I'll move on to is the component of savings or investments. Savings, they include your pension or provident fund, if you've got one of those. If you don't, if your employer doesn't provide for you for this, you can't buy that for yourself. I used to work for KPMG, and We didn't have these pensions and whatnot. When you leave KPMG, you live with that month's salary. So you get to learn early that you need to buy a retirement package for yourself and do some investments, because it's a tough thing. Nobody's going to tell you, by the way. We just had to figure it out for ourselves. I don't know if you know this saying that, an architect stays in a really run-down house. A mechanic drives a skorokoro. So accountants have got very, very bad financial situations. It's not just people who are non-accountants. In fact, I think the accountants are worse. They maintain other people's books very well, but when it comes to their own, it can be really bad. So when we talk of investment and savings, is that retirement package or money market fund, education fund, emergency fund. I want to talk quickly about the emergency fund and intermittent cost fund. What happens is that most of the time, even if you were doing all right with your finances, if an emergency comes, you don't have the money to take care of that. You find yourself, you have to go and borrow now to be able to take care of that emergency. Now, that's why it's very important for you to have an emergency fund. Where are you going to get the emergency fund? You'll save. Start by saving at least 1,000 emalangeni. You can go more than that, of course, but the emergency fund, ultimately, it should equal to your 3 months net pay, 3 months of your net pay, or 6 months of your net pay. That will help you to be able to handle whatever emergency comes your way, because emergencies are not planned for, but at least have that cushion that you'll be able to take care of that. Intermittent cost fund, on the other hand, it has to do with the costs that you know are coming, but you just don't know when. For instance, if you drive a car, you know that your tires will need replacing at some point, isn't it? So that's the kind of thing that you save for in the intermittent cost fund. Don't be like some of us that in January, it's like now you realize that there's school fees to be paid. You didn't know that school fees was coming. That's why you were spending all the money in December. And then suddenly, oh my goodness, an emergency for school fees. No, that's not an emergency. Okay, and then the other category is charity or gifts and gifts. That's where you put in your tithes, free will offering, even your parents, extended family, friends, and other charity. I specifically put in the extended family because I know that sometimes we have issues with that. Now, if you've budgeted extended family, for instance, you tell yourself 2,000 emalangeni for that month is extended family. If that money finishes, then you no longer have money. No matter which extended family member comes to you and asks for money, you will not go to another category to take money there to give, because you no longer have money for that. It is important that you are faithful to yourself and faithful to your categories, because if you start borrowing money from there, it's like you haven't budgeted, really. Learn to say no. I know it's difficult. And then expense categories, there's housing, utilities, food, transportation, health, daily living, children, entertainment, and subscriptions. Because we're also talking of family budgeting here, the daily living part, I just want to touch on the fact that, when you are budgeting together as a family, because your income maybe, you put it in one pot, there must be an allowance that each one of you have, that allowance that you just use it anyhow you want. It's not part of, the whole thing, just so that, you feel like you are still a person as well. So it's important that you have that. And also in terms of entertainment, people, we are here, we are living, live a little, have that entertainment budget, so that now when I'm your friend and I come to you and say, hey, let's go out there's that music festival there, whatever, and you have exhausted your entertainment, you can say, I don't have money. Don't go and now take money from maybe your offerings or your tithes and You must be faithful to your budget, right? Have those limitations, those limits and boundaries. Okay. Hey, it's like someone has wind up the clock to move faster than normal. I don't trust. I think it's you are making it move fast. All right. The other category that is there is obligations. Obligations, that's now your loans. Personal loans, credit card, maybe you've got a store credit card and student loans and so forth. I know in this list I did not put in mortgage and maybe even vehicle finance because in the categories before there was a housing category there. So for me, I usually put a mortgage there within that housing. There's also a transportation category and the vehicle finance goes there. But the other obligations will go into this separate because I feel like you want to know in total in life how much am I really spending when it comes to transportation. It's not just fuel; it's all the other stuff as well. Your repairs for your vehicle, your fuel, your tires, whatever. That means that's how much you're spending on transportation. The more you are aware of where your money is going, the more you are going to be very careful in how you spend that money. Okay, so this is the next slide shows how a budget would look. Okay. Let me stand this side. So if you the far right, that's where the income is. All your income you're showing, your savings, and then housing, electricity, utilities, and so forth. Under utilities, like the both DSTV and both Netflix, whatever, that's where they go as well. They are termed utilities, not just water and electricity. Okay. And then you got your food. Now, in the food category, we have monthly groceries, right? And then every day when we come out of the office, you go by to buy bread, but you come out having spent 500 Malangeni. I don't know if that bread is 500, but that's what happens. Now, for the weekly groceries, I think if you have money that you put aside, even cash in an envelope, it will limit you on how much you spend. If you are going into the shop to buy that bread, you will come out with the bread only, not with all the other things that you suddenly realize you need when you're in the shop. Because when you're at home, you did not need them. Okay, so that's how you control the spending in terms of your weekly groceries. Groceries are one of the areas where money is wasted. So we do need to be very careful in how we spend that. And then lunchbox, eating out. Eating out includes if you are at work and you go and buy lunch, that is eating out. But if you carry a lunchbox like I do, then you're not eating out. It's very important that, again, you note how much you're spending on your lunch. Calculate. Before we leave here, calculate if you buy lunch, how much you spend on lunch on a daily basis. Calculate that amount turn it to a week, into a month, and then a year, and then you'll be shocked at how much you are spending. And hopefully, it will shock you sober, such that you carry a lunch bag. Okay. Oh, I made it. Right. There are some exercises that I've prepared for you. To prepare a budget, to just practice for today. Hopefully, I wasn't too fast that you didn't catch what I was saying. But I do hope that even if there was something that you missed when you were doing the exercises, then you will catch up. We are going to have 5 groups. Each group will have an exercise to do. And then within that group, you will select one person that will come and present to all of us the budget that they would have prepared. It is not very difficult. I wish that you would select the people who are afraid to talk in front of people, to come and present as a, a training ground. Face your fears. Straight on. Okay. Bevan, I don't know how we are going to do the divisions. Oh, okay. And if you've got any questions, I think we can talk about them as we are doing this whole thing, because I don't think that we're going to have sufficient time to just address all of the questions up here, but we'll see. Right, sorry, how you're going to do the activity, you will read this whole thing, and then you're supposed to prepare a budget for the people that are in there. Each group will have their own questions, because there are 5 questions. We don't have to repeat all of them. So each group will have their own questions, and then you prepare a budget for the particular person. Thank you. 15 minutes. 15 minutes per group. So the sooner we get up from our chairs, the faster we'll be done. Please take your seats. Who's making the presentation?
Okay. Good evening. Evening, everyone. I'm doing a presentation on Raven, who's a bank clerk. She's 30 years old. She earns a salary of 15,000. She gets, she's got 3 children, and she gets child support for 1 child amounting to 600 emalangeni. So her income is 15,000 less 25% tax, which amounts to 3,750, meaning that she's left with 11,250 plus the 600 emalangeni she gets from child support, which takes it to a total of 11,850. And then her expenses are as follows. She stays in a bedsitter in Guane Park. She pays rent of 2,500. Groceries, she spends another 2,500. For transport, for her and her 3 children, she spends 1,000 emalangeni. School fees, she also spends another 1,000 emalangeni, since the other 2 children are minors. So we'll suppose it's free education. And then we have utilities. Utilities, we break them down. There's electricity, water, your DSTV, and so forth. She's also got 1,000 rand there. And then our entertainment, since we are working on a very tight budget, we have allocated 280. If there's need more, God will always provide, yeah. And then we have tithes and offerings. For tithes, she will tithe 1,500 emalangeni. For offerings, since we have 4 services in a calendar month, so we have allocated 200 emalangeni, meaning she will offer 50 emalangeni every Sunday. Savings, she saves 1,570, and then emergency fund, if there is anything left, we save 300. The whole expense totals up to 11,850, and then she's just got nothing. She exhausts the whole budget. Thank you very much.
Let's clap hands for him again, for the group. I like the assumptions. Eh? They are in free primary education. Actually, when I wrote that, I had that in mind, so it's good that you picked it up. The next group, please, as they're coming up, let's have who's this group? Let's have them come up. So I just wanted to emphasize the issue of your retirement package. Even if you've got your employer, come up, provided ENPF, for instance, they accept the extra money if you want to save more. Not just what the employer puts in there for you, can put more in. They actually have a good return, the last I checked. So it's quite important that you do that. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Apparently, I'm the most shy in the group. Yeah, so we actually we went with the first case as well. So in this scenario, we were told that the income is, the gross salary is 15,000, and then plus 600, which has to do with child maintenance. That is coming from one of the gentlemen that gave this lady a beautiful child. So then we said from there, from 15,000, there is going to be tax that will come out from that 15,000, which is going to be 3750, which is an expense. And then there is also a provident fund that is going to come out. Apparently now it's 185 emalangeni. And then that's an expense. And then those are going to be coming out from her pay slip. So by the moment she receives the in-contact, it's going to be 11,665. So from there, 11,065. I love my group. And then from there, we're going to pay our tithe. Our tithe is going to be 1,560, inclusive of the 600 that is coming from the gentleman. Yeah, the second in contact that is that came into her account, which is 600 emalangeni. So that's 1,560. And then she stays and pays rentals. Rentals are 2,500. Transport is going to be 80 emalangeni times 20 days, which is 1,600 emalangeni. It's 80 emalangeni because we believe that they're using public transport, and it's going to be 4 people. She's got 3 kids, and then she's the 4th, and they're using public transport, and it's 10 emalangeni per day. 2 and 4 is 20 emalangeni. That makes 80 emalangeni per day, which is 20 days per week, per month, which makes 1,600 emalangeni for everyone. Okay, so then food, groceries, that's 2,500 emalangeni. This is inclusive of course, the weekly groceries that she mentioned, the eventualities and everything else. The total is going to be 2,500 emalangeni. And then that's utilities now, electricity, 200 emalangeni, and water, 200 emalangeni. And then she would need airtime, which is 200 emalangeni. We believe that she is using handy gas, not electricity, for stuff, because we can see that she has got so much load here. So, so she's going to buy, when you're going to divide this, it's going to be 85 emalangeni per month. In most cases, you use 170 for the bottle for 2 months. So then we can say that's 85 emalangeni for 1 month. All right. And then she's got an account at Jet because she's got 3 kids. So she allocated 150 emalangeni for that. Yeah, and then so when you calculate all the expenses, they go to 12,780, and then you've got a difference of 2,820 from our calculation. Pardon? A deficit of 2,820. She was giving me the lovely accounting terms. And then from there, then we said 2,000 emalangeni will be going into savings. So now, it's not a deficit. It's not a deficit.
11,000 less 12.
Okay, so what happens here is that this is the 15,000. Okay, let me flip the page. You will understand. Okay, all right. So what happens here? This is the income. All right. The net pay is 11,065 after the deduction of the tax and also the provident fund. Exactly, which is something that was inclusive from this side. Tax and provident fund. It was part of the expenses in the whole total. So now here we are. So we have got 2,820 left, and then we said we are going to give her 200. In fact, 200 has to go to offering because she goes to church. She loves the Lord. She was paying tithes. So every week she'll be budgeting 50 emalangeni for offering, which is going to be 4 Sundays a month, which is 200, which is going to be 200 emalangeni for the whole month. And then she's going to be investing 620 emalangeni and 2,000 into savings. Thank you.
Let's have the next group. It appears that we all chose Raven, so it's quite interesting to see how different the budget is for the same person. Let's have that one as well. Come with the flip chart. Yes, remember, you have to budget for your entertainment because you don't want to find yourself just stuck in your house because you have no money for entertainment. We want you to live a little.
Evening, everyone. Okay, we also chose Raven. With Raven, she's earning 15,000. Okay. So this is our total expenses. Her tithe will be 1,560. Our tax, we calculated it at 3.5. And then ENPF at 150. And then rent is 2.5. School fees, we put it at 700 because the first 2 is free education. So la paying Ngwane Park High. It's around 700 per month. And then transport, we said 580 because they stay in Ngwane Park. The children walk to school. Yes. And then she spends 20 rands per day because she works in town. 6 days a week because she's working at the bank. Yeah, it's around 480, 500. Utilities, there, 1,000, water and electricity, because they're a small family. Food, we put at 3,000, including lunchbox. Yeah, because we don't waste money. Yeah. gets lunchbox for all 4. She doesn't buy out. And then clothes is 200 per month. 1 item per person. One item per person per month, at least. And then the phone is 150, Instagram. Okay, we cut off Instagram and Twitter, at least TikTok. And then all of our expenses ended up at 13,260. No. Our expenses were 13,260, and then we subtracted from the 15,600. And then we were left with 2,304, and we're like, savings.
Quickly, let's have these 2 groups. Oh my.
Hi, my name is Nando, and this is the one that we're going to do today. So what's happening? Hi, my name is Nando. So we got Lulu. Lulu is part of a 5-person household. His earnings are 17,000 gross per month, and he has a mother that he stays with who earns on average 2,000 malangeni per month. The other 3 family members are children that all go to high school, and they pay 12,000 per year, which we rounded up to about 3,000 per child, 3,000 for the month for all 3 children. All right, so what we did, we started off with what their budget currently looks like, and then we moved to what it should look like in the perfect world. All right, so like we said, incomes, the main income is 17,000, for which there will be a tax deduction. Tax we calculated to be 4,250, that's 25% tax that he has to pay. Then they also have another income of the mom, which is 2,000 malangeni. The expenses, the recorded expenses that we had the fees, 3,000 malangeni per month. We had the tax, 4,250. And then this man is said to be a money spender. He likes to go out on the weekend, and he's the paymaster. Paymaster who spends, on average, 2,000 in a weekend. So that's the blowout amount of 8,000. We say it because these are human beings. There's also some extras that we need to add on that were not on the test case. For example, transportation for the 3 children, the assumption being the mother and Lulu walk to where they work. Food, food, which we said for a 5-family household would be 4,000 malangeni, and then utilities, which we assumed because he is a money spender would be about 2,000 malangeni for the month. So this is what the bad budget looks like, and then that's the one that we have since said it should be.
So we did a budget after the tax deduction, whereby we had 14,750 for Lulu, plus the 2,000 from the mother, which amounted to 16.750. Thank you. So for tithes, this is how much they are paying. They're paying 1,900. Savings, they are supposed to do, which is 20% of the total income that they have. So they're doing 2,950. And then school fees still remains. It's still the 3,000 malangeni, and food, we reduced it to 2,000 malangeni. And then for transport, they are supposed to use 1,800. And then utilities, they are using 800. And then we had to cut off the fun part to 500 malangeni. And then what's this? Yes, contingency, it's 1,000, and then the last one, which is medical expenses that may come up during the month, which is 800.
The family. It's contingency for the family. So in case, just in cases.
I think it's the last group, right? Yeah, can shift it to. That's fine.
Hello, church. Good evening, church. My name is Kitsia. So we did the case study on Raven. Raven has a gross salary of 15,000 and then less tax of 3,750, which is 25%, plus 600 that she gets from the father of her children. And then this is our budget. So of the 11,850, there are tithes of 1,500. Pardon this, it's supposed to be 1,500. And then we did offerings for 160. So the 60 goes up here because she's not going to tithe off the 600 from the father of her children. And then, so there's tithes 1,500. And then she has a life policy of 200 in case anything happens to her. And then she saves 800, which is 200 for herself and her children. And then she has an emergency fund of 500. Then she rents 2,500. Then there's water, 200. There's electricity, 500. And then there's transport. We only calculated transport for herself. And that's Monday to Friday because she works for the bank and she works at head office. So she doesn't, she does not work on weekends. And then the children walk to school because they go to Ngwane Park, which is close. And then telephone is 150. She uses work Wi-Fi in the afternoons. And then there's education for the 15-year-old, which is 625 per month. We calculated that the tuition to be 7,000 per year. And then there's food and groceries, which is 3,000. The reason it's 3,000 is because she also sells for her colleagues chips and sweets as well as fruits. So that gives her extra income. So we added this here. And then there's funeral policy, which is 50, which includes herself and the kids and extended family. Then there's entertainment, 500, and clothes. She has a clothing account with Foschini, 500. Gifts is 200. Then she pays 65 emalangeni for bank charges because she works for the bank, so they are a bit lower than normal people. So this is basically our budget for the month. She is left with nothing, but then she gets monthly cushion from the sweets and the chips that she sells on a daily basis to her colleagues. That's basically our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this was wonderful. It's always easy to allocate somebody else's money, isn't it? That's why I'm an accountant. But when it comes to your own, now it's a bit difficult. But thank you so much. Maybe before I come down, I just want to point out that for a start, to kick off, you can put envelopes according to each category of expenses and use cash. Put that cash that you're budgeting for the particular envelope, and as you pay for that expense, whatever, once the envelope is empty, then you know you don't have money for that anymore. Now you're going to spend the different envelopes in their categories. it helps to kickstart you. Yes, it's difficult sometimes to do the cash thing because, maybe you're staying with some people who their hands have got, they're sticky hands or something, but just make sure that you put it in a safe place. I know that's difficult, but it helps to kickstart you in this journey. Thank you.
Thanks, Thobile. Well done. Can you give her another clap? Well done, Thobile. Isn't it amazing that we have the CFO for Africa training us? Really? And I was so proud of every group that came up. I was having a good time listening. The sense of humor is incredible. Can I ask if we can stand? Thobile, thank you so much for giving up your busy time and schedule to be here to teach us. And money is a serious issue where how we spend our money is a reflection of our heart. So, Father, I thank you for tonight. I pray that you help us to get revelation and to put it in the categories that you tell us to put it, and help us not to have sticky fingers. Help us to keep it in those categories. May the demons in our pockets leave in Jesus' name. And we pray, Father, for the multiplication of your resources, that you would help us to be like that lady looking for ways to even trade as you want us to trade, when you want us to trade. I pray a blessing over the finances of every household here. I pray for your anointing upon them to handle money in the way that you want them to handle. And I pray for an increase of these resources to give you glory and to give you honor, that we glorify you by bearing fruit, and speak a blessing over this church. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you and well done. And thank you for letting us be a part of your family. God bless everyone. Thanks, Thobile.